Well, now here's something to really think about today. Who would you trust with the lives of hundreds of people? Federal intelligence agents or college students? Our next guest put both sides to the test. Her name is Valerie Reyna. She's a psychologist at Cornell University, is doing research there, and the good professor joins us now with a lesson today for all of us. So, Professor, just tell us a little bit why did you choose to take a look at this, and what essentially were you trying to see?
Well, I think obviously intelligence agents are extremely important to national security. All our lives are in their hands. So the nature of their risky decision-making is really important. And I was also interested in basic questions about human rationality. When do people take risks? When do they not take risks? And do they do so in a way that's rational, that makes sense?
So what kind of questions did your study ask?
The study involved safe options versus gambles, and what it showed was that college students would be risk avoiding when you frame the same outcomes in terms of gains or like lives saved, but they would be more risk seeking when you took the same exact consequences and framed them in terms of lives lost. And that's irrational because it's the same situation, so your risk attitude should be the same in both scenarios. But just changing the wording superficially causes people to shift. Now, the twist in the new study is that intelligence agents showed this effect even more. They were even more irrational in the sense that they shifted even more in terms of risk avoiding for gains and risk seeking for losses.
It's surprising. I mean, when you think about irrationality and the type of effects that it could have in decisions in college, but also, as you mentioned, for national security affairs. Why? Why do you think, first of all, both sides looked a little irrational, and that the federal agents seemed more irrational than the college students?
Well, even though this effect is surprising based on conventional wisdom, most people would say, well, experts would be smarter, better, more experienced in terms of risk-taking. So I think most theories and conventional wisdom would predict the opposite results. But we have a theory called fuzzy trace theory. It's a theory of how people make decisions, how real people make decisions. And that suggests that as you get more experience, you take meaning and context more into account. So you're more biased in certain kinds of contexts, but that's about interpreting the information rather than thinking literally.
So you're saying basically we balance as we grow up, and are still growing up obviously through all this process that you're seeing with the study. We're taking a look at things analytically, but we also have a gut check when it comes to decision making. And as we get older, we get a little bit jaded based on our life experience and how we're making our decisions. Does that sort of sum up what you're finding?
That sort of does. I would instead of jaded, I would call it insightful intuition.
That's better.
I think we get better insight. And so, and I think, it's interesting because this is the kind of intelligence that intelligence agents should have. They really should be able to interpret the facts, not go beyond the figures and the formulas and interpret the facts. So ironically, this is a good thing.
So I'm curious, as a professor, something that's really fascinating with these topics, and we're fascinated as well seeing your study. But how does this make you feel just in general about, the people that are in leadership positions that are making some crucial decisions? Do you feel like you have less trust of the quote-unquote system, or what's your personal takeaway from your work?
Well, I see naturally, because I study risky decision-making, I see the relevance of it to very important life and death decisions. What worries me the most probably is the absence of scientific research in these very high-stakes decisions. When we're talking about issues like national security, the human side of things, the human intelligence agencies, these are a potential vulnerability. Obviously, if we really, don't think rationally and don't make the best of the information that's so hard to get, that puts us all at risk, and I want to do something about improving that.
Yeah, like what? What would you do?
Well, I think we need to follow up studies like this and to really get at how do you develop insight. It's more than just years of experience, although years of experience does correlate with this particular effect. We showed that in this work. But what about the experience is informative? How do you develop these kinds of meaningful insights and inferences about other cultures, about very complex scenarios involving a lot of uncertainty and danger? We really need to understand that better so that we can train intelligence agents better. And we need that training to be based on scientific facts, not on speculation and opinion.
Very interesting. Decision-making is the core. Who's making the decision,
Exactly.
how they're making the decision is the core to so many of our news stories. So it's really interesting to take a look at this study, Professor, and we appreciate the time you coming on to talk about it. We look forward to having you back. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jenna. Bye-bye.